This summer, I have my goddaughter staying here with me. It's something that we'd actually discussed as early as last year. Um, she's now 10 years old, and my mother, who is sort of her surrogate grandmother, told her that she was old enough to fly, and she'd get her a plane ticket to come down and then fly back. And that's actually not how it worked out at all, but once the idea was out there, I kind of latched onto it because summers are often a tough time for me because my mom's here in the winter, but I'm generally by myself in the summer, and you can't really go out and do as much in Florida during the summer because it's so hot. So I thought having her here would be good for me, and I thought having her would be good for her because I could show her lots of things and do a lot of things she hadn't done before, expose her to new stuff, and provide child care for an entire summer and get her a chance to be away from her little sister because I know they annoy each other. That's what little sisters do. So I really fought for it, and even though my health is very poor and it's hard for me to do a lot of things, I believed in my ability to take care of her, and I'd say for the most part that's gone quite well. That's kept me very busy this summer, and that's why I haven't been as active on my YouTube channel or really had a whole lot of time for other types of socialization or projects or whatever. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think it's good. But the shadow over the whole experience is the fact that I have an invisible disability, that over the last year I have gradually become a disabled person, or a person with a disability, and or maybe multiple disabilities, to be honest. And it's not easy to explain. I still don't have a diagnosis, and so I can't just say what my disability is, and the symptoms fluctuate and come and go, so I can't just say, like today, for example, I really can't walk around. It's just not happening. My leg hurts so much, like I had to go get my cane. I just wanted to do a load of laundry because my goddaughter got some popsicle drip drops on her blanket last night, and it needed to be washed, and that was challenging. It was hard, just walking from this end of the house to the garage to put stuff in the laundry and just do a little teeny bit of like tidying up. But other days it's not like that. Some days I could walk around just fine. Some days it's my hands. I can't use my hands for anything. Some days my abdomen is just so cramped up that I can't do anything other than lay in bed and cry. I can't just say what my disability is or why I'm a disabled person in some sort of easy phrasing or catchphrase or something, And I think that's why when I got paperwork from my work to start notifying me that they were going to start the process for enrolling me in long-term disability, because I've been on short-term disability for quite some time now, it kind of was a little bit of a gut punch. And the idea... Well, let me go back a little. In November, late October, early November, when I stopped working, the reason that I did that was because I had for months been working less and less and less. My doctor had signed off on medical leave of absence so that I could miss work as much as I needed to. And I knew that short-term disability would pay 60% of my salary. And I was getting to the point where I was unable to work enough to make more than 60% of my salary. I was missing so many hours in any given week. And then I just couldn't. I would go in to work. I work from home. I'd go in my office. I'd get logged in, and I'd maybe be able to do like an hour or two of work at the most. And it was that my job was a very challenging job that had a lot of different things that you needed to do, different types of paperwork, following up with various cases, and I was unable to do that. It wasn't like I could just go in and do an hour's worth of work here and an hour's worth of work there, and it just didn't work like that. So anyway, when I stopped working, my thought was that it would just be temporary. I had an appointment at the Mayo Clinic in the beginning of January. And so I thought, well, I just, I'll take this short-term disability for November and December. I'll go to the Mayo Clinic. They'll figure out what's wrong with me. I'll be able to be better, and I'll be able to go back to my normal life next year. And obviously that didn't happen. The Mayo Clinic visit was absolutely pointless. The person that I talked to wasn't even a doctor. She canceled all of my tests that I had scheduled because I told her, just really basic stuff, and she just jumped to conclusions. New healthcare providers love to jump to conclusions when you're a plus size lady. I've had to convince every single healthcare provider that I talk to that I'm not diabetic. I'm like, well, my endocrinologist says I'm not diabetic. Anyway, so it was a bust. Nothing came from that. Nothing at all. And one of the tests that I had scheduled that she canceled, I got it several months later, and it found my gastroparesis, which is one of the only things that I've actually been diagnosed with so far that I can point to and say, well, I have gastroparesis. I could have known that several months earlier if the Mayo Clinic lady was not terrible. Anyway, but that would kind of set up how the beginning of this year went. I was doing this wait and see. There was always something like, okay, I just need, and it really from the beginning of when my illness started up, it was I remember the exact day. It was like the last week of April in 2021 is when this started for me, and I went from being able to live my life to not being able to live my life. Down to no functionality of, I don't even have a lot of basic functionality. I mean, I can still get up and walk around the house. It's not always easy, but I can do it, and so I am grateful for that. And my hands do work some days. I am grateful for that. But I can't depend on anything. Any given day, any given part could be malfunctioning. So, but I digress, clearly. But that was the thing. I kept thinking that it was, when I first got sick, it's these gallstones. Okay, I'll just get, my gallbladder removed and go back to normal. Well, that wasn't it. So after spending months fighting for a surgery I thought was going to give me my life back, I didn't get my life back. Okay, well, it's not that. Maybe it's an ulcer. So I was just certain. I just needed to see my new gastroenterologist, and they would figure out I had an ulcer and fix it, and blah, blah, blah. I don't have an ulcer. I had endoscopy and a colonoscopy, which was awful. And yeah, they didn't find anything. So then, after that, it was Mayo Clinic. And then after Mayo Clinic, it was, okay, I need a new rheumatologist because my rheumatologist is terrible. Oh, it's this, it's this, it's this. It's always been something for the first year that I was sick. And then in the last few months, I've kind of changed my mindset and kind of started to think about how I could live my life with things the way they were and not expect it to get better. In fact, expect it to get worse or stay the same. And while I wasn't consciously aware that changing that mindset meant that I was shifting my focus from a person who is temporarily sick to a person who is more or less permanently disabled, that the way I thought about myself didn't change. The idea of being a disabled person. Well, a little bit of background here is important. My father taught profoundly mentally impaired children, and so I have always been around people who had sometimes extremely severe disabilities. So, I'm comfortable with people who have very visible disabilities, and I knew people who had less visible disabilities, and still, you can't grow up in this country and not know that there's a stigma, that people look down on people who are disabled, that think that we're a burden. And I've gotten to the point where I have to process that I am that population, that it's me. And it's not easy. It's not easy to change your conception of yourself. But I can tell you that it's the best thing I can do. That I need to understand who I am. That I need to embrace a place in the disabled community, because I know that there's support there. That I need to stop thinking it's a bad thing and just understand that it is a thing. It's a neutral thing. It just is. It's just reality. It's just who I am. And I guess I have to be okay with that. And I think I will be. I just need time.